hello there. Didn't expect to see you here. It's a weird opening. Didn't expect that now, did you? Alright, so, I don't know how well you can hear me. It's the middle of the night. It's about 1 a.m. I can't sleep. I sometimes suffer from insomnia. I thought I'd come out here and make some kava. I'll quickly explain what kava is because I've talked about it hundreds of times. Kava is an intoxicated root from intoxicating root with relaxing properties, anti-anxiety properties, chill out properties, and other properties and effects that I can't really explain unless you tried it, but it's one of my favorite substances. That sounds bad. But yeah, it's one of my favorite substances. Anyway, so why do I like it? I used to live in Vanuatu, where it comes from. It doesn't grow. Well, it probably would grow in Thailand if you could get roots, if you could get cuttings over, fresh, or even a live plant over and start growing it. But that's a difficult thing to do. But anyway, you can only really find it in the South Pacific Island nations, and I've got a reliable source now in Thailand. So for the last 6 months, maybe to a year, I've had a reliable source. I've been drinking kava. Anyway, so I thought as I'm out here, it's the middle of the night, I'm gonna prepare kava, which takes 10 or 15 minutes. 20 if I really want to really massage it and get a strong kava. I thought I'd tell you a story. So I don't think I'm a very good storyteller. I don't think I'm very good at telling stories. I usually I start well, and then I lose track of where I am, and then I pull in information that's relevant, and then I talk about the ending, and then I come back to the middle again, and then yeah, it gets crazy. So I thought I'd tell my story of how I came to Thailand, why I came to Thailand, and how I ended up here in a house in Vatapum, where I built an extension on the house, bought a car, built this kava hut here, which is above me. This is my office and hangout area you've seen in my pizza video and other videos. And yeah, how I ended up here in Vatapum, pretty settled down and pretty content. So I'm gonna start preparing the kava, and then I'll start the story. Maybe I'll talk as I go through. So I first arrived in Thailand. Like, I don't remember exactly. I think it was about 8, 9, or 10 years ago. One of those. Like, I don't remember that. I'd have to look it up. It was 8, 9, or 10 years ago when I first came here. I was 18 years old, so I can work it out from that. I'm 28. I'm either 28 or 29 now. I forget. So that's 10 years ago. So I've already fucked up the kava a little bit. I've accidentally added the root powder directly into the water. It's always best to filter it, or you're gonna just have bits of kava in your. It's not bad for you, but it might make you nauseous. It's only a little bit, so I'm not gonna start again. Anyway, back to my story. So about 10 years ago, I was deciding whether to go to university or not. In the UK, I just finished my A levels, which in the UK it's like the same as finishing high school in America. I don't know. It's when you're 18 anyway, and you don't have to continue studying if you don't want. Anyway, at that point, I was in the TA, also known as the territorial army, or the Army Reserves. I don't know how strong this is going to be. I'm going to put one more. I lost track there. And my aim and goal in life was to go to university, join the officer section of the TA, which was called the Officer Training Corps, or the OTC, which was linked. It's like officer training as part of your university. Study a degree in engineering, and then join the Royal Engineers as an officer. That was my life goal back then. But I decided I wanted to do some adventure. I had a little bit of money. I got paid. So for being in the TA, you get paid. I lived at home. I didn't spend much, so I saved a lot of money. Well, not a lot, but I saved a bit of money. And my parents and my grandma also helped me with some money. Bless her. Oh shit. Alright, this is going to be fucking strong. I've probably double the amount I normally do for kava. I've got to keep an eye on the camera too. Sometimes it switches off. So like I said, I'm not very good at storytelling. I haven't even got to the part where I've got to Thailand yet. Let me know how good I am at telling stories. So, yeah. So I was in the TA at that time. My life goal was to get I wanted to study I wanted to study civil engineering and then join the Royal Engineers as an officer. Go through officer training through university. So anyway, before going to university, I decided to take something called a gap year, which is something a lot of people in the UK do. I think Americans do it too, I think. Europeans. I think lots of countries do a gap year. It's not that common in Asia, because the first place I went to was China, with a school friend. So I made a plan to travel the world for my gap year. I started in, the plan was China, from China to, UK to China, then to Thailand. I was going to spend some time in Thailand. Then I was going to go to Australia. Then from Australia to New Zealand. I was going to hitchhike through the whole country, through the whole of New Zealand. Then from New Zealand I was going to go to Vanuatu, which is where I discovered my love for kava. Vanuatu is a Pacific island nation. Then from Vanuatu I was going to go to America. I was going to go the other way around the globe back. I was going to fly somewhere in America, and then I was going to go back home to the UK and start my university 12 months later. So I was going to travel for a full 12 months. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Alright, so what actually happened? So the first place I went was China. I went to China with a school friend, a friend I was in school with. He was Chinese, but he'd grown up in the UK from the age of about, I think, 13 or 14 or 15. No, I think from like 12 or 13 or something. Anyway, so he spoke English perfectly, but with a Chinese accent, because his native tongue was Chinese. But anyway, I went to China with him, and I stayed with him in Beijing. I think it was Beijing. Was it Beijing? It was a month for the whole trip. 2 weeks in Beijing, 2 weeks in Shanghai. So it was my first experience of Asia, and I was super impressed. I loved Asia. I loved how kind of free and lawless it was. I remember going to a nightclub and then being able to walk across to the convenience store that was open all night with plastic chairs outside and buy beer for like 30p, what it was then. It was a crazy time. Anyway, I really liked it there. I wasn't that into the food at that point. I couldn't really eat Asian food then. I wasn't that open to different foods, but yeah, I definitely, Asia was something totally different than what I've ever experienced before. I really liked it. So after China, at that point I was traveling with a friend. He went back to the UK, and then I went on to Thailand. I flew direct from Shanghai to Phuket International Airport. So I arrived in Phuket, 18 years old, and I decided I was going to stay, at that point, Thailand for 6 months to learn Muay Thai, Thai boxing. So back in the UK, I studied karate from a young age. I never got like really high up the belts or anything, but I've always been interested in martial arts. Can't remember what belt I got to in karate. It was an alright level, but it was not like, it was nowhere near black. But anyway, I also tried taekwondo, judo. I loved martial arts growing up. When I was growing growing up, I just wanted to try everything. I joined every extracurricular club I could find. I just did everything when I was younger. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess as I was a little bit socially awkward. I am now. I'm socially awkward now. I was when I was younger. So joining clubs and activities was a good way for me to meet people and do something um, in an organized and structured way. Anyway, you see what I mean about telling stories? I completely go off track. Where was I? So yeah, I decided to go to Thailand to learn Muay Thai. Someone's in the kitchen, and yeah, I was gonna train Muay Thai for 6 months. So I went to Rawai in the southern peninsula of Phuket Island. I still like Rawai to this day. It's one of the cooler parts of Thailand. I don't like the island of Phuket that much, but I like Rawai. That's it, like right at the south. A little bit quieter than the other parts of the island. A little bit less built up. It's more now. It's changed a lot over the last 8, 9, 10 years, but I still like it there. Nice beaches there. Some of the best beaches I think in Phuket or in Rawai. See what I mean? I'm going off track again. Anyway, so at least I've got to the part where I'm in Thailand. So this is me, young guy, arrived in Thailand, and as you can expect, I started training Muay Thai, but it didn't take long for the girls and the nightlife to take over to become more prominent than the actual training of Muay Thai. So I started drinking a lot, hanging out a lot, meeting new people. You know what the nightlife is like in Thailand, and especially when you're a young 18, 19-year-old. Yeah, at that stage I was able to just really easily meet girls, Thai girls, not prostitutes, real girls, and well, real girls who might also have been prostitutes at the same time, but not. I wasn't their client. I wasn't paying directly. Anyway, you pay in the end. Buying drinks. So anyway, getting off track. I don't want to talk too much about this stuff because my wife does watch my YouTube channel. Anyway, so you can imagine young guy in Phuket, like a kid in a candy store. So obviously I fell in love with the place. Alongside the women and the nightlife, I made a lot of Thai friends, and I started speaking Thai and learning a new language. And that got me really excited. I was really excited to learn and speak a little bit of. I never thought in my life that I'd learn a second language. At school, I was terrible at French and German, but I found Thai came early, and I think then I realized that I'd always been learning languages the wrong way. You don't learn languages from a textbook and then get to a certain level and then go out and speak it. You learn one word in a language and then you go and speak it, and then you start using it. You have to start speaking from day one and start playing with the language and experimenting with the language, and using it from day one is what I teach my students as an online teacher. You have to go out there and speak from day one. That's how you learn a language. And the most Thai I ever learned, this is in the future, so I'm getting a bit carried away. When I came back to Thailand later and I lived in Isan, just hanging out outside, like car shops and garages, drinking with locals and just chatting. Hanging around with people who don't speak any English forces you to learn a bit of Thai. Now my Thai isn't that good, but I can understand 70% of what's said around me. And I can reply to most things. I can't discuss politics or niche, let me think. I couldn't discuss car parts or, fixing up bikes and that terminal. Like certain term, I can speak like basic conversational Thai at this point. I don't think I've really got any better in the last 5 years. I think I got to a point and then I just stopped. But I know the reason was I didn't hang out with just Thais as often. Later on in my time in Thailand, I started hanging out with Thais less. This is gonna have to be a 2 or 3 part video. Anyway, so where was I? Training in Phuket, learning Muay Thai, making new friends, getting sucked into the Thai nightlife, making Thai friends, speaking Thai, loving the food. Unlike when I was in China, I wasn't that into the food when I was there. I now love traditional Chinese food, but back then it was just too much. It was too different. But I was easy to ease into Thai food over a 6-month period, and now I love it. So yeah, I eat a lot of Thai food. So I love the weather, love the lifestyle, love the people. I fell in love with Thailand basically. And then my time came to an end. It was time to move on. My flights were already booked. Next step was, let me think if there's anything else I want to say about my time in Phuket. Well, so I met lots of crazy people there, loads of characters. I could go into detailed stories about everyone that I met there. People who ended up selling, foreigners who ended up selling drugs and ended up getting caught by the police and ended up having to be blacklisted from the country. Parents had to fly them in, pay the police like 30,000-40,000 pounds to get their kid out of Thailand. I was in a bar in Phuket when someone was shooting a handgun into the roof. Someone I know, a friend who was training at the same Muay Thai gym with me, was shot point blank. So it's after an argument at a bar. American, I can't remember. I'm not going to go into details on this, but basically 2 people, American, British guys, got in an argument over a girl in a bar. One of them lost face, using Thai terminology then. At the end of the night, ended up going back to their apartment, knocking on the door. Guy opened the door in the middle of the night. What the fuck? Who's knocking at my door? Bang, boom. Sorry, no, he wasn't shot. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about there. I'm sorry, he was stabbed. The guy, I'm confusing it with another story. So he wasn't a close friend, but it was somebody I know trained at the same gym as me. And while I was there, yeah, the argument happened at the bar. One of the guys, after the end of the night, went to 7-Eleven, bought a knife. At that point, they sold knives at 7-Eleven. I don't think they do anymore. Knocked on the guy's door, stabbed him, and then he was on the run for a while and ended up getting caught in the airport. It was all over Thai Visa, and it was international news at that point, I think. So I remember my parents calling me worried. Anyway, so lots of crazy shit happened while I was in Phuket. I could talk for hours about that 6-month period of me living in Phuket, but I want to get on to how I ended up where I am today. So I was there in Phuket, living off my savings, training Muay Thai, enjoying the nightlife, enjoying the women, enjoying the beer, enjoying the food, enjoying the friendly locals, and the nice laid-back lifestyle when I never knew what day it was, what time it was. Yeah, some of the best times of my life. Anyway, next on to, I had to leave eventually. Next I went on to, where the hell did I go from Thailand? I went all the way to, so I also went back to China. I went to Macau. I went to experience the casinos in Macau. I did the largest bungee jump in the world from Macau Tower. This was like halfway through my Thailand experience. This was for a visa trip, a visa run back then. I went to Macau for a visa run. That was cool. Go back to China. Macau was a little bit different than mainland China. I went to Hong Kong too. Fuck, I forgot about that. I went to Hong Kong twice, and I met a girl in Hong Kong. Yeah, who I met up with later on as well down the year. She was cute. Yeah, so a Hong Kongese girl. Anyway, that was my Hong Kong experience. So then went back to Thailand, finished my time there, and then eventually I had to leave, and it was time to move on. So I went to, the next step was, I'm trying to think, was it Australia or New Zealand first? No, it was Australia. Went to Australia first. I think I flew to Sydney. Yeah, I flew to Sydney. I think I only spent time in. No, I spent some time in Sydney. I had no plans. I think I was there for a month. Um, yeah, I drank a lot of Goon, which is bagged wine, um, boxed wine, cheap wine. They call it Goon in Australia. It's some kind of tax rule or whatever makes it cheap, and it's the alcoholic's drink of choice or the backpacker's drink of choice. Anyway, so enjoyed myself in Australia. It was a cool place. Met a lot of foreigners, international, other young people who were backpacking at that time. A lot of Germans. Made a lot of German friends and Japanese friends too. Made a lot of Japanese friends while I was there, who were also backpacking Australia. Um, After a couple weeks in Sydney, I think I decided to do a surfing tour up the east coast of Australia. So I booked a surfing tour. I went on a big bus with like 40 other people, a massive coach, and we all went up the coast surfing. I think it was like 2 or 3 different coaches following each other. Stayed at different places, campsites, hotels. Drunk in the evening, surfed during the day. It was fun. Enjoyed it. So yeah, I left enjoying Australia, but still missing Thailand a little bit. Thailand had a special place in my heart. Anyway, onward to the next country, New Zealand. I arrived in Queenstown, which is in the south, and my intention was to travel up by hitchhiking and buses all the way to Auckland. No, even higher than Auckland. I can't remember what the place is called, but it's where my... What do you call your grandma's brother? Great uncle lives. My great uncle lives there, and I went to meet him. I spent a couple of days with him, so I travelled all the way up from Queensland in the south, and basically I just did adventurous sports all the way up: bungee jumping, canoeing, BMXing, mountain biking, rock climbing. I just went up the whole country doing adventurous sports and camping. Did a little bit of hitchhiking, but in the end, I wasn't very good at hitchhiking. I had a weird experience the first time I did it. These Greyhound coaches were really cheap, so I just said, fuck it, I'll do the Greyhound coaches. But I had no real plans. I remember booking one Greyhound coach from one city to another, and then I just saw this really awesome lake halfway through and just decided, I'm going to jump off and stay here. So I had no real plans. I travelled all the way up the country. Staying all over in random places. Anyway, I thought New Zealand, beautiful country. I think I prefer New Zealand to Australia. If I was going to live in that part of the world, I'd definitely choose New Zealand over Australia. By this point, my money was running pretty low, and I decided to move on to the next country. I was still recording. 23 minutes, is that it? I feel like I've been talking for hours. This cow is pretty much done now, but I'm going to keep massaging it just for the, when you massage kava, you're releasing cavalactones. Cavalactones are the property of kava which has its health benefits, if you want to call it that. So we're about to get to kava in my story too, because Vanuatu is the next place I went after New Zealand. So I'm losing track now. Anyway, I'm going to keep making this. The more I massage it, the stronger it'll get. It's just sucking more and more cavalactones out of the powdered kava into the water. So I'll keep going. I've spilt a little bit. Oh, fuck. I don't like to waste kava. Because it's imported, it costs me a lot. It's a kilogram bag. It's about 4,000 baht for this bag. What's that, like $120 for this bag of kava? That's fucking expensive, eh? Anyway, continuing onward with my story, boys and girls. So, next step, my money was running low. I had to go to Vanuatu. So, before I'd even started this trip, I planned most of the flights. China to Thailand, Thailand to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to Macau, Macau back to Thailand, Thailand to Australia, Australia to New Zealand, New Zealand to Vanuatu. In Vanuatu, I had volunteered. So I'd already applied a long time ago in the UK. I went for interviews for the volunteer position. I had to go to Manchester to do an interview for the position to volunteer. Basically, I don't get paid, but I get food and shelter in return for teaching English at a middle school in Vanuatu. Now, if you don't know what Vanuatu is a tribal island, I guess. It's a very, very... People there still live in a very basic way, in a very self-sufficient way, in huts. People don't have jobs, really. Very few jobs. Most people just have the garden, or they just go into the wild and get a coconut, some bananas, pull up some root vegetables from the ground that grow naturally. The island is so lush, so like so plentiful. They don't need to work. They can live off the land very, very comfortably, very easily. The weather's there is great. Yeah, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I went to this island. I arrived, and bang! I've never felt humidity. Of all the other countries that I went to, I've never felt the humidity like it was when I walked out of the airplane into Vanuatu. But I guess that's the first time that I've walked out of an airplane directly into the open air and not into an airport via a air-conditioned railing or whatever. Railing, they're not called railings. Connector, whatever. Anyways, so I walked straight out of the airplane, down the steps. Very, very small airport in Vanuatu. Vanuatu is... Have a look at it on the map, guys. I don't know if I'm going to edit this video and add in photos and stuff. I might do. Anyway. So I was really shocked by the humidity. Vanuatu was kind of the poorest, least built up country that I've ever visited in my life. And I just arrived at the capital. Vanuatu is made up of over 100 different individual islands, and there's also over 1,000 different dialects and languages. But they all speak one language, Bislama. Bislama is a kind of pidgin English. It's a combination of English. It's about 90%. I'd say 70% English, 20% French, 10% local words, and the grammar structure is based on the Polynesian languages. So I'd already studied this language before I left as one of the requirements as becoming a volunteer. But I still wasn't very good at it. At that point I was still really mainly learning Thai and focusing on my Thai. But I did start to I had a basic understanding of the language, so I could understand some basic things. It's a very easy, fast language. You can learn this language super fast if you just live with locals, because it's so similar to English. You just gotta tweak your ears to listen to the words and understand what they're saying, and then just learn the grammar structure, which is it's like basic, simple grammar structure. It was actually similar to Thai grammar structure, where Thai grammar structure is also very simple. If you're gonna generalize it. Anyway, so I stayed on this island for 6. So I arrived in the capital. I then had to fly on a small 8-seater plane to go to the island that I was teaching at. So I arrived at the island of Pentecost. Pentecost is known for actually the birthplace of kava in the whole of the South Pacific, apparently. And it's known to have the most potent kava. So I was about to discover my drug of choice. Anyway, so I flew to Vanuatu. Sorry, I flew to Pentecost from the main island. After arriving on Pentecost, the journey wasn't over. Then had to take a couple speedboats, hike a little bit, walk across some rivers. Like, it's not an easy place to get until I got to this super remote village, which I would be calling home for the next 6 months. So yeah, I lived there for 6 months with the locals. I cooked on a fire every day. They gave me a kitchen, which was a hut with a stone in the middle, and they gave me firewood, and basically I'd go in there, I'd boil some root vegetables, my diet was pretty much boiled root vegetables, and cabbage, island cabbage, which is like a kind of really stocky cabbage, maybe some cucumbers, maybe some bananas, maybe some papayas, sometimes. Once a month or once every couple weeks we might get some chicken or pork. if they're killing an animal. I also had to, halfway through there, they decided they were going to accept me into their village, and I had to do a welcoming ceremony to become chief of a Nakama, which means chief of a community hall. So there's a new community hall. They wanted to make me the first white chief of it, so they called me Tari Sulu in local language, which means Tari is white and Sulu means chief. So I became the white chief. In order to become the chief, I had to kill a pig with an axe, and then cook the pig on a fire, and then share the pig with everybody. So I did that. It was really awkward because it took, I don't know, I hit the pig wrong or something, and I had to, and once I'd done it once, the pig started screaming, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't want this animal to be in pain. So I went and striked again, and then I was like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was like hacking it, and all the locals were like, oh shit, like what the fuck's going on? You're supposed to kill it in one blow, so I fucked up there. Yeah, but anyway, eventually I managed to kill it, and then it was whatever. The hairs de-haired, so they put it on the fire to try and burn off all the hairs. Then they just randomly chop it up, take out the intestines, clean it. You know how it works, how you cook meat. And then they cook it on a big stone oven underground. So it gets wrapped in leaves, put in a hole, and then hot stones are taken off a fire, put on top of it. I'm sure you've seen this kind of cooking before on Discovery Channel. It's then reburied and left for a few hours just to slow cook. And then you have some nice pork. Share with everyone, and I became chief of Nakama. Anyway, so I lived on this island for 6 months. I started to go a little crazy after the 3rd month. Let me add in this video of me going crazy on that island. Alright, so I went pretty crazy, right? If I actually put that video in. I'm not sure I'm gonna. Anyway, after 6 months on this island, so after the first 3 months, I started to really miss pizza, cheese, ice cream, other people. So I wasn't there alone. I was partnered with another British guy called Pete. He was a decent guy, he was a good guy, but living with someone for a long time, we lived in the same house, and you can't really call it a house, more of a hut. I would sleep on the floor for 6 months. Anyway, there were some arguments, and we did start to go a little bit fucking crazy. I will show you that video actually. I'll put a link also to the full video. I made a full video stitching all the stuff I recorded while I lived there, so you can check that out if you want. Anyway, what happened next? So yeah, I started to go a little bit crazy. I was missing. My parents sent me like care packages every couple months. So they'd send me like candy bars, or maybe something that I requested, like a jar of pickles. I can't remember. They sent me some Tabasco sauce. Fuck me. They sent me a little bottle of Tabasco sauce because the food there was so bland. It was just boiled root vegetables, cabbage, basically. That's the staple. Sometimes you get rice, but they cook the rice almost halfway between cooked rice and halfway between a congee or a jot or a rice porridge. So they didn't cook rice well. It was horrible, stodgy, cheap, low-grade rice from China that was donated. So that was the other thing that we could eat. Sometimes they'd make bread, but again, they made the bread in such a horrible way. They didn't have any yeast, so it was hard, stale bread. So yeah, a jar of Tabasco, a little bottle of Tabasco sauce. I would ration that out, put little drops on each bit of taro. So taro is one of the main root vegetables they eat there. A huge fucking horrible starchy root vegetable. You may know it in desserts in Asia. They put taro in desserts. This is the smaller variety of taro that's cooked in lots of sugar and coconut cream and all sorts of stuff. I had the big ass fucking version of this vegetable It's got like starchy fucking string through it, and anyway, like I'd still like to eat it now for memories. It can be alright when it's cooked. Also big bananas, big green bananas. I think what do they call them? Plantains. But they basically grind them up into a slop, and then cook them underground in a hot underground oven, and it becomes kind of like a cake, which it sounds alright, but it wasn't. Anyway, so I started to go crazy. I made it through my whole term there, and although I did go crazy, I made some great friends. I had a host family, a host mum and a host dad who was there, who looked after me while I was in Vanuatu. I had a brother who I taught Muay Thai. I learned Muay Thai, and in Thailand I taught a group of people Muay Thai, and my friend Pete, he taught them karate, so they loved us. The local, like, that was our nakama, or our kavadring. So we weren't that into the school and the community where we were, but we go over to the village at the other partner village, where our host families were, and we got on. We loved it there. It was like we had a kava hut that I was chief of. We drink kava there all the time. We teach them martial arts. We fucking joke about stupid shit. We bring them music and movies on my little laptop I brought there. So I was able to charge from solar panels sometimes. So I did have, and I brought a load of movies and stuff that they'd never seen. So I got to show them like Jackie Chan movies that they'd never seen. Fucking cool shit. I loved it there. I had so much banter and fun with all the guys there, drinking kava, getting fucked up. I even like managed to bring over like alcohol and give them tequila for the first time and whiskey for the first time. Really bad influence on this tribe. I brought them like there's pictures of it. I'm gonna add this in. So like I gave them their first experience of whiskey and tequila, and got them all fucked up, and managed to get some weed as well. We smoked weed together. There was a guy there who liked smoking weed, and he had a plant, so we had weed. There's also two Americans on the same island that we were pretty friends with. They were working for Peace Corps, and they lived on the top of the island, and they were doing work with they were doing workshops on health and hygiene, and trying to teach these guys shit, and they didn't listen. They didn't want their help, but they were there, Americans. They were two really, really cool people. Yeah, super cool, super awesome people, and yeah, got to smoke a bit of weed with them too, and make pizzas. We managed to get flour and like weird preserved cheese, and managed to get posted over in care packages, and then we'd have a pizza night once every 3 months. So yeah, it was although I went crazy and it was hard to live there as an 18-year-old without electricity and things like that. It was a great experience, and Vanuatu is, I always say now, Vanuatu, Thailand, and England are 3 countries in my heart, for sure. Vanuatu and Thailand more so than England, even though it's my birth country. I don't really feel much more comfortable in Thailand and Vanuatu than I ever did in the UK. Anyway, so where was I? After Vanuatu, I was supposed to go to America, but I wanted to go back and see my friends and some of the girls that I'd met in Thailand, so I changed my flight plans and went back via Thailand instead of via America. So yeah, went back to Thailand, spent 1 more month in Thailand after Vanuatu. Had another awesome time. I just got fucked up for a month, basically. After, you can imagine, after spending 6 months on a fucking island with a tribe, I arrive in Phuket, where there's all the pleasures and anything a man could want, and I lived there for another month. It was pretty fucking crazy time. Craziest time of my life, man. Crazy, fuck. I can't even say some of the things that happened on this channel. Yeah, I just can't. There's so many crazy stories. I don't want to put people in shit if this video actually gets watched by usually a couple hundred, sometimes 1,000 people watch my videos. So yeah, I can't, I can't put like, yeah. Anyway, craziest month of my life. Back to the UK now. Time to go to university. So after this crazy gap year, living in Thailand, living like a fucking tribesman on an island, it was time to go to university. So I went to. I got a place at Huddersfield, civil engineering. I joined the university officer training corps, went through selection, made it through as planned, so I managed to join it. After 3 months at university, things went down the fucking pan. I was just drinking every night. I was going to parties. I started a Thai boxing society at university, and that's all I cared about. And drinking. I realized I don't even like engineering, so I don't know why I was studying it. After 3 months, I dropped out of university, but I stayed in the university officer training corps, and I was thinking about what to do, and I found a course on Southeast Asian Studies and Thai language at Leeds University. So I thought, you know what? They had a year. I was just thinking, I can't do 4 years in the UK studying engineering. I need to go back to Thailand. So this course offered 1 year in Chiang Mai. So I thought, I'll drop this degree. I'll take the rest of the year just to carry on at university, doing the Muay Thai Society, still hanging out, doing all the freshest stuff, but not actually studying. Doing my officer training. I also got paid for officer training, so I had money coming in as well. So I just did that, and I started applying for next year for this Thai course. As they had a year. The first year was in England, second year in Chiang Mai, third year back in England. Done. So I thought that sounds much better. I'll do that degree, and then I'll join the army as an officer. Because to be an officer, you need a degree. It doesn't matter the subject. I couldn't join the engineers, but I thought, I'll do a degree in something else, and I'll join a different regiment. Anyway, after my year had been up, just setting up Muay Thai societies, doing that kind of thing, meeting new people, doing the freshest shit, but without actually being a student anymore. What else? I did a lot of other cool stuff that year. I can't remember now. I did a bungee jump for charity that I managed to raise money for. What else did I do? I went back to Thailand halfway through the year as well. I fucking won money on online roulette. I was crazy. I think I put £2,000 on red. So I got into playing online roulette. I think I put £2,000 on red and won, and then put another £1,000 on red and won again, and then withdrew it all. And it took like 3 weeks to get the money out of the casino. That was 10 years ago, the online casino. And then I booked a flight to Thailand. Had a crazy month in Bangkok and Phuket, and then went back to the UK. Shit, no, it was fuck. I had an operation. I remember now. I had a minor operation, and they recommend that I don't fly within a month after this operation, because you can have problems with the altitude and shit. But I'd already booked my flight to Thailand after winning this money at online roulette, so I went anyway. Can't believe I forgot about this shit. I went anyway to Thailand against doctor's regulation. I thought, I'll be alright, I'm not fucking... I remember it was the night before, and I was like in two minds, should I go, should I not go? And then I went, fuck it, and I packed my bag in the middle of the night, and I was going to sneak out the house, because I was still living with my parents, and take a taxi to the airport. But as I was getting up, my mum woke up and caught me, and she was like, oh, were you just going to leave without saying anything? I was like, yeah. In hindsight, I should have just told her, and I was like, yeah, I can't not go, I'm going to Thailand, I booked this ticket, my friends are there, I love Thailand, I want to go, I've booked the tickets. So I ended up going anyway. I wore fucking long tight socks, which is supposed to help with whatever. Anyway, made it to Thailand without any dangers of flying, against my doctor's advisement. Had a crazy month, another crazy month in Thailand, just drinking, partying, meeting people. maybe did a few sessions of Muay Thai while I was there, but not much. Went back to the UK, still a lot of cash over, thought I'd try my luck again, put another couple £1,000 on roulette, fucking lost it all. Then went back, put more on, lost fucking everything. So yeah, don't gamble. But so yeah, I ended up losing it all. Then stayed in the UK for the last year. My application for that Thai course came back. They didn't accept me. I applied as a mature student, and I had to write I had to write a university paper as part of my application on the King of Thailand. So I wrote it. I wasn't very good at writing fucking shit. So yeah, it turned out it wasn't good enough. They gave me a second chance to rewrite it again. But then I know what happened. It's because so I say I dropped out of university. I didn't actually officially drop out. I just stopped going. But I thought I'd be able to still pass, get it just a pass. But I didn't for the first year, and the application on the Thai course at least required me to at least pass minimum at the first year on the other course, just to show I can be a half decent student. Didn't get the place. So I was like, fuck this, what am I gonna do now? I want to live in Thailand. I'm not gonna go to university now. I thought about, shall I do another course, because I could have got on another course. I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do university, this sounds like bullshit. I want to get back to Thailand. How can I do that? Looked into lots of different things. Didn't have any money because I'd blown it all on online roulette. Am I still recording? 47 minutes. I'm gonna make this like a 3-parter or something. Anyway, so yeah, put all my money in. I've lost all my money, didn't have money, fucking didn't have a place at university. Things looked fucked up. I went into a bit of a bad place. I was drinking a lot, doing lots of crazy shit. Yeah. Anyway, then I saw this online. Hey, come and work in Australia. You don't need any qualifications. We need farm workers. We need pineapple pickers. In Australia, we pay $18 an hour. So yeah, I got whatever money it was left. I booked a flight to Australia. Fortunately, I had the support of my parents, and they gave me a credit card for emergencies, which I feel very lucky to have the parents that I did, because I don't think I would have ever made it traveling without them bailing me out every once in a while when I fucked up. Anyway, so yeah, I'm very fortunate of that. Anyway, I went to Australia. I said, alright, I'm gonna work hard, pick fucking pineapples for a year, and then move to Thailand. Which is pretty much what I did. God, am I going to tell my story about Australia now? So I spent a year in Australia. So at this stage I'm 20 years old, or 21 or something. And I'm in Australia. I'm going to work in Australia for a year. Work and travel holiday, they called it. That was my visa. I could have extended it to 2. But I just wanted to put away money, go to Thailand, and then just find a way how to live in Thailand. I hadn't really thought it through. So anyway, I spent a year in Australia. Arrived in Sydney because I knew Sydney, had been there before. I booked a farm course that taught me, it was like a 2-week course that taught me farm skills and was supposed to give me a job at the end of it. I did the course, I passed the course, and they posted me in this random farm in fucking 15 hours drive away from Sydney, into the fucking middle of nowhere, living with this 2 old couple as like a farm helper. After 3 weeks there, they said, we need you to have a driver's license. Didn't have one. I think they just didn't like me. They made an excuse and kicked me out. They didn't pay me anything. No, they did. They drove me to the bus station and they gave me $20 or $50 or something. I didn't have much else. I was like, fuck this. And I remember when I was on the course, the guy saying, hey, the guy who was running the farm course was like, why you guys want to do farm work anyway? Why don't you just go to a city and work in construction? You can make so much more. So I was like, fuck this. Bought a bus ticket back to Sydney. Looked online for a hostel that was actively hiring people as well and helping people find construction jobs or labor jobs. So ended up in a place called Tokyo Village. I was looking at hostels and I just saw the name Tokyo Village. I was like, fuck, it's gonna be full of people from Japanese. I had so much fun with Japanese people the last time I was here, drinking sake and soju and fucking, yeah, so I thought, fuck it, I'll go to this hostel. Just because of the name, such a good decision, because the owner of the hostel set up so many jobs for me, like dodgy cash in hand jobs. I was doing like weird jobs for Polish guys. It was definitely not legal jobs for me, but it was just like they were hiring under the table, so they didn't have to pay tax and other things, or they could pay a bit lower if an immigrant doing the job. So I did loads of work for like weird Polish construction companies, just picking up bricks and fucking mixing cement and jackhammering walls and cleaning things with fucking acid and shit, like jobs that nobody wanted to do. But I did a year of that, and then I did all sorts of fucking jobs. I worked in a bar for a little bit, so I got my bartender's license, which you need in Australia to work in a bar. Did a bit of bar work. I did do some. Towards the end, I went to Brisbane. No, fuck. Where's that beer? That alcohol? Bundaberg. I went to Bundaberg and did pineapple picking, which is one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. There's basically this machine, this fucking tractor, drives forward, and you've got to follow the tractor, pick up a pineapple, smash the head off it. Your hands get all cut up. Pineapple plants are fucking spiky, so they're cutting up all your legs. Your wrists are getting all cut up. You're fucking smashing. Your hands are fucking falling apart. And you've got to move forward with the rate. And if you're fucking too slow, there'll be a guy behind, like a supervisor, picking up pineapples you missed and fucking bowling them under your legs. Oh mate, it was a horrible job. I did it for about a month. I got super fit, but fucking hell, it was a hard job. But it paid well. So I saved a load of money there. I still didn't have enough of what I wanted. So I ended up doing medical trials. I saw in a newspaper, hey, test this new fucking, what was it? Test this new antibiotic. We'll pay you, like, it was like $3,000. You just have to stay in the hospital and get injected and put on a drip with these different drugs and shit. I was like, oh, and I did. So I ended up doing 2 different medical trials, one after the other, which you're not supposed to do, but I managed to get away with it. But anyway, I did the first one, which was a drug trial for a antibiotic. So I thought, antibiotic, that's fucking nothing. It's not going to do me any permanent damage. Look at me now. It turned out just normal. It turned out fucking completely sane. Anyway, this cover is well done, by the way. Takes 15 minutes. I've been doing this for like an hour now. I'm gonna squeeze it out and then move on. So yeah, I did the first medical trial. I think I spent like 3 weeks in a hospital bed. You're not allowed out because it's a controlled test. They need you put on a strict diet of what you can eat, how many calories you can have, how much you can walk around. Like it's a strict controlled medical trial. Anyway, so I did the first one, got paid, found out there was another starting a week after the other one, but they said you're not allowed to do one medical trial if you've done one within 2 months before. But it was a different company, and I thought, I bet they're not sharing information. So I applied for the second one. The second one was for a painkiller as well, like a morphine-based painkiller. So I was like, fucking hell, I'm gonna be getting paid to get high off my face. So I applied for the second one, managed to get it, got straight on that one. I think that one paid like $4,500 Australian dollars as well. Or it might have been even more, I don't remember. It was a good amount of money anyway. So let me wring out the rest of this cava. So yeah, after doing the second one, spent another, I think that was like 4 weeks, I think it was a full month. It was a full month in a hospital bed. And they let you out after 2 weeks in like a supervised walk around the park. But it was funny, people were watching, like you're in the fucking you're in the like the hospital outfit, being walked around the park. You look like you've escaped from a mental institution or something. I remember it was fucking funny. We're having a laugh. Thankfully, there were some really good guys on the medical trial. There's some British guys. There's a crazy American guy. There's like they're all backpackers basically. But yeah, we had great banter. It was great fun on the medical trial. Even though I was stuck in a bed getting paid, I had my little fucking what they called then a notebook or little computer. I was doing shit on that. I was writing emails, fucking playing on Facebook. Did they have Facebook then? Fuck, I don't remember. I was playing on, maybe it was MySpace. I was on MySpace, MSN Messenger. Anyway, fuck. Yeah, so after the medical trial, I stayed one more week in Australia. After the second one, by that time, I think I had like $10,000-$15,000. I think I had close to $20,000 in my account. Anyway, after that, I spent one more week in Australia. Got really fucked up with the people that I met on the medical trial. I had an awesome time, and then went to booked a one-way. I booked a flight to Australia. I booked business. I don't know if it was either business class or first class. Which one's cheaper? But I splashed out because I had all this money, and it wasn't that expensive. The flight from Sydney to Bangkok, it's not that far compared to London to Bangkok. It's not that far. It wasn't that expensive. There was a really good deal on a business class flight, and I think they upgraded me as well. Anyway, so I had this fucking luxury flight to Bangkok. Tons of beers on the flight. Sat next to an Australian guy I remember talking to, who was a fucking nutter, and we kept ordering screwdrivers, vodka oranges, and we got absolutely fucked up on the plane. He turned out to be a bit of a dick at the end. He was like hitting on the air hostess staff and shit. But it was funny. So got off the flight drunk as hell. Didn't even go to a hotel. I hadn't booked a hotel. Went straight to Soi 11 in Bangkok, which is a party area, with my suitcase, and went bar crawling with the guy that I was sat next to on the plane, plus a load of other people that I met that night. Passed out in a hotel at the end of the night. I'm not going to give you all the details, but you can imagine what happens with a young guy in Bangkok. So that was crazy. And then, from that day to now, I have not left Thailand. So how did I end up staying here? The first thing I did was, first I blew all my money in a pretty short amount of time, as you can imagine. Although Thailand is cheap, if you're drinking and partying, you can easily spend a lot of money quickly. So once I got close to my last couple $1,000s, I thought, I don't want to go back home. Don't want to go back to England. I had the option of going back and working in Australia for another year. Didn't really want to do that. I had a load of fun in Australia. Met loads of cool people who I'm still friends with today. Some of them came over to Thailand for my wedding, which is awesome. But I really didn't want to go back. So, what can a foreigner do in Thailand apart from teach English? I'd had experience teaching English before in Vanuatu. Knew I could do it. I knew I'm actually pretty good at it. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. So the requirement to teach in Thailand at that time, you needed a TEFL certificate. Didn't have one. Found the cheapest course in Thailand, which turned out to be in Hat Yai. Hey, that's where my Hat Yai journey began. The only reason I came to Hat Yai was because it was the cheapest TEFL course I could find, run by this Zimbabwean guy called Dalton, who I'm still in contact with today. Cool guy, real nice guy. Runs a very successful TEFL course in Hat Yai City. Anyway, so I came down, did that TEFL 4-week course, and it had a guaranteed job at the end. But the catch was, you go wherever they send you. So they sent me to the middle of fucking nowhere in Isan. Isan is the northeast of Thailand, to teach in a primary school after this 4-week course. And during the 4-week course, I met my wife, who is still my wife today. I met my girlfriend at that time, which is now my wife, during that 4-week TEFL course. She was working in a pharmacy at that time, and yeah, that's how we met. But then I had to leave her. I went to Isan to teach in a school. She ended up coming visiting a couple times, and we got to know each other, and we got really close. But anyway, I really loved Isan, by the way. So I spent the first. I'm gonna wrap up the story and get to where I am today pretty soon now, as this video's gone on long, and I think the first part's more important about my journey, how I got to where I am today. So, fuck, where am I? So yeah, I just met Sue in Hat Yai during the TEFL course, gone to my job placement in Isan in Sisaget, Kukan Sisaget, and I worked there for a full 6-month contract, teaching English to a primary school. Met some cool people there who had been in Thailand a long time, learnt a lot about the expat scene in Thailand, ways of making money, and other things to do. But I really liked Isan because that's where I met the most Thai friends I've ever met ever. Thai male friends, drinking buddies, who would just drink with on the weekend, hang out. One of them owned a car modification shop, and every time I just go to work, teach, finish, walk down the street from my house that I was renting. At that point, I rented a pretty biggish house, rented a big motorbike. Yeah, things were cool, and I was paid enough. Even though I was only paid like, it was 35,000 baht a month, I could spend like 15 or 20 in Isan and still have a good time, drinking with my local Thai friends. Because every time I went there, they'd never, like, I'd always try and pay and try and buy beers, but they'd always refuse and buy the beers. But anyway, I made loads of Thai friends there, drunk lots of beer, had an awesome time, met lots of people. At that point, I travelled to Laos to do visa runs. I had lots of awesome experiences on the Mekong River and lots of crazy shit in that part of Thailand in the north. I still really like Isan. Again, I haven't been back to Isan since then. Fuck. Ah shit. Yeah, I got to take a visit back to Isan at some point, but I haven't been back since. But yeah, cool place. So yeah, after then, I got really close to my wife, so I thought, I'll find my next job in Hat Yai. Managed to find a job with Andrew Biggs. At that point, Andrew Biggs was still kind of on TV, or he just finished doing, like, he used to. Anyway, Andrew Biggs is a well-known white teacher. I don't know why I said white. A well-known English teacher, celebrity English teacher in Thailand, and I managed to get a job with his company. In a new branch that they just opened in Hat Yai. At that point, I met loads of friends there. Discovered Hat Yai to be an awesome place. It was like the perfect middle for me. It wasn't too rural like Isan. It wasn't too built up and crazy and gonna kill me in a month like Bangkok. It was just perfect in the middle. So I really fell in love with Hat Yai city. At that point, I was living with my girlfriend. We rented an apartment. Our apartment at that time cost 2,000 baht a month, which is insane. But yeah, I lived together, taught English for Andrew Biggs. Then I started doing other things as well. I started doing corporate teaching and other kinds of teaching that not just in a school. Discovered that I really like teaching adults as well. I also started some online businesses. I started selling products, Muay Thai products on eBay, which did well for a while. I started, I remember, I tried lots of things. Some things failed, some things didn't. I was trying to find other opportunities other than teaching. So basically I did that for a long time, for a few years, teaching in Hat Yai. I went to Songkhla city for a bit, taught in some schools, some universities, some colleges, private students, language schools. I did fucking everything. And I worked hard and I saved money and I lived well. And I lived well. I saved money and I was happy. Then online teaching came. So I started teaching online, and then I found, hey, why don't I set up my own school, set up my own little school for a bit, which went well for a while. Then I realized I could make more just recruiting teachers to do that. Some point during all this, I went to Vietnam for a bit too, where I met my good friend and now business partner in Vietnam, Mr. Cao. And then I started recruiting for several schools in Vanuatu. So then I realized this recruiting thing is going to make me more than teaching. So really doubled down on that. Then I started doing Bitcoin trading. At one point I made quite a lot of money. On the big bull run that happened, I can't remember, was it 2017? I sold before I got married all my Bitcoin holdings. I made a nice amount of money, enough to build extensions on my wife's house, buy a nice car, pay for a big wedding, and all that other shit. Eventually I moved away from renting houses and apartments in Hat Yai with my wife to moving to her home, which is where we are now in Ratapum. I decided we'd do an extension on the house, little other things, and someone sent me a message on Facebook. Who's that? Anyway, so that's where I am today, basically. Now what do? Now I am a recruiter. I do recruitment, I do online teaching, and I do cryptocurrency trading and investing. And a little bit of e-commerce, which that's on hold at the moment. The Thai baht increased in value last year and I stopped all my e-commerce stuff. And I'll double down on the recruiting side. At the moment now, because of coronavirus, I'm only doing recruiting for online schools, no offline shit. So yeah, that's my situation. That's my story of how I came to be standing here making kava from my experience in Vanuatu in a bowl. Comment your questions. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna now bottle this up. I've been talking so long, flies have gone in the kava. I'm not that bothered. I'm just gonna pick them out. Alright, so I'm gonna put these in bottles. You can stock, once you've made kava, you can store it for 3, 4, maybe 5 days in the fridge. 3 days best, I reckon. Let me show you what it looks like inside the bag. I hope the audio has worked for this long video. Fuck. The guy that sent me a message is Nick. You may know Nick from some of my other videos. Good friend of mine. Anyway, it looks like cow shit. But that's the kava. That's what the spent kava looks like. So I'm gonna bottle this up now. I'll show you how I do one, then I'll end the video. It's basically a starting water bottle, so that's it, easy. I'm gonna drink some tonight as well, 'cause I still don't feel tired. I woke up at like 1 p.m. though, so I need to fix my my sleep cycle. I'm staying up all night, editing my website, watching random YouTube videos of Indian guys building huts in the desert, and yeah. So I'll show you this bottle. I'll screw it up, and then we'll end that video. That is my story of how I came to be here in Ratapum, Thailand. And that, my friends, is a beautiful, strong bottle of kava. I'll show you, I've got a... This is my gym area, by the way. Under here, which you can't see, is a sit-up machine. this is a homemade pull-up bar. Let me show you some awesome pull-ups. Terrible form, I know. I'm gonna wrap that video up. Hope it was interesting. Comment your questions. Comment your negativity. Comment your hate comments too. I love those. They're funny. And tell me how bad those pull-ups were. Take it easy, guys. Let me look at the camera. Take it easy, guys.